I would like to formally apologize for how insufferable Mac is going to be for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough.
Woo! And just wait till after.
I just want the audience to know that I'm with you. I stand with you. And I'm already tired of him. How long have you been here?
It's been like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Woo! Happy Monday, Chris.
How are you?
Doing fantastic. Doing great. I just was picturing, I didn't say it on the Amigos, but just picturing you, get your little Ravens song ready, Google the Ravens, let's look back, and then boom.
There's a good one, too. There's a good one.
There was a good I'm so sorry.
I was ready. A lot of people are surprised that you didn't come down with the woo flu.
Oh, no, I'm here.
After all the wooing that you did yesterday.
2 Mondays from now, I will have woo flu.
You're going to put it in?
Yeah, I'm going to put it in. It'll be scheduled woo flu. Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. If they lose, you're going to have to deal with it that Tuesday.
No, it's going to be the Tuesday. Yeah. 100%.
Is there a good 49ers song? I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, do your research, man. You won't need it, but
yeah, I'll do my research. I'll wait. I feel like I've been jinxing it as I've been Googling the songs during the games in the lead up to this. So I won't look until the game's over.
Mahomes is like, oh, hands Googling the opponent's song again? Bet.
Yeah. That's bulletin board material.
Exactly.
For the Chiefs. So, all right. Enough of that. There were sports over the weekend.
Woo.
But also, it seems like World War III's back on the menu. We had an attack yesterday. Lost 3 military members in Jordan. And here we are once again. The calls to bomb Iran are loud. And for me, I'm just tired of this inching ever closer to World War III. I'm tired of a weak president that puts us in this kind of predicament so often. Now, Iran has denied any involvement. Many people, myself included, go, yeah, probably had to do with Iran. But who has been enriching Iran? Who has made it easier for Iran to do Iran things? Well, that's Joe Biden. And perfect timing. We can now pivot away in the news cycle from what's going on in Texas. All last week we were talking about a civil war, and now we're back on World War III. It's very Travis Kelce.
Two things at once.
Two things at once.
That's good.
Republicans are blasting Joe Biden. Lindsey Graham came out and tweeted, "Bomb Tehran." I don't know about you, but for me, anytime the neocon class, the Lindsey Grahams, the John Boltons get all excited about going to war in the Middle East, I want to run as far away from it as possible. Maybe it's because I grew up in the post 9/11 era. Maybe it's because my friends went over to those, never-ending wars in the Middle East. Maybe it's because I realized that no good is going to come of never-ending wars in the Middle East. Maybe I'm thinking, do we have enough to be fighting a war in Ukraine, fighting a war against Hamas and Israel, and now fighting a war in Iran? Do we? I found this tweet from David Sachs. He does the All In podcast. And I thought this tweet really summed it up well. He was responding to Lindsey Graham's "Hit Iran now, hit them hard" post. And David Sachs put on Twitter, "It feels good in the moment for hotheads to call for retaliation. But we have to think through the second-order consequences. The U.S. has only about 4,000 Tomahawk missiles in its inventory. 4,000 in inventory. We can do about a week of shock and awe. And then what? Are we going to send in ground troops? Iran's territory is vast. Its forces are decentralized, and enough of its infrastructure is underground by now. It will also be supplied by China and Russia. In retaliation, our highly exposed bases in Syria and Iraq, which, of course, the neocons refuse to remove, leading to this tragedy, will likely come under heavy fire. In fact, our troops in those areas are sitting ducks, as we've all learned. Our carrier groups could even be targets. America will take meaningful casualties. Meanwhile, the Strait of Hormuz could be closed, compounding the situation in the Red Sea, causing a global oil shock. Assuming Iran wants to continue the war, we'd have no exit strategy. Regime change will fail. We'll be stuck in a new forever war. In fact, there's a decent chance that we could get run out of large parts of the Middle East. So I ask you, 615-737-9986, do you want war with Iran? Is this something that you're interested in? I'm saddened that we lost more soldiers, 3 service members in Jordan. It breaks my heart. But do you want to lose more? Because another forever war is just going to lead to more death and destruction. Personally, for me, I can't even grasp launching another forever war when we have these problems at home. President Trump responded on Truth Social. He said the drone attack on a U.S. military installation in Jordan, killing 3 American service members and wounding many more, marks a horrible day for America. My most profound sympathies go to the families of the brave service members we lost. I ask all Americans join me in praying for those who have been wounded. I pray for them as well. Dozens wounded. Last I saw was around 35. So sad. So sad. Why wasn't there more protection for these drone attacks? Honestly, we've all seen the video that comes out of Ukraine. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, where you'll see these, quote unquote suicide drones blowing things up. Why wasn't there more protection for our service members in Jordan against these kind of attacks? Anti-air missiles, I don't know, some sort of netting that could protect these bases so that way that couldn't have gotten low enough. I don't know. I'm not a military guy, full disclosure. But what could have prevented this? We are so stretched thin. Our military recruitments are at all-time lows. And the neocon class is out there saying, woo, let's get another war going. I'm tired of that. Politico, surprisingly, had a pretty good piece on this. Tucker tweeted out, effing lunatics at Lindsey Graham. And Politico grabbed that and wrote an article. It said, the Iran-based backed attacks in Jordan that killed 3 U.S. service members are intensifying the growing GOP divide over national security. As senior Hill Republicans call for immediate retaliation, clash with Trump-style isolationists. I feel like that's been the clash in the Republican Party now for a long time. Since Trump came down the escalator, are we America first or are we global war neocons? Are we America's police or should we fix our problems here at home first? Now, this political piece goes on to say, while former President Trump gave himself a measured response to the attacks, influential conservative voice Tucker Carlson called 2 senators who pushed for a swift U.S. military response against Iran after the attack effing lunatics in a post on X. Carlson trained his ire against Senator Lindsey Graham, who called for the U.S. to hit Iran now, hit them hard, and Senator John Cornyn, a Republican out of Texas, who posted target Tehran, before clarifying that it was not a call to bomb Iranian civilians. The response to the attacks in Jordan reflect the escalating feud between the GOP's more traditional foreign policy hawks and its ascendant isolationist-leaning wing, even as both sides coalesce around Trump's bid to return to the White House. And it comes as the latter group, urged on by Trump and wary of prolonged foreign entanglements, have grown more emboldened. I will proudly declare myself an America First isolationist. Proudly. And I don't think it's good to be risking our soldiers' lives over there. We're stretched way too thin. And I've been saying this for months since I started my show. When I was railing against what's going on in Ukraine, I said we're going to find ourselves in a situation where we're stretched too thin. And somebody really does need our help, but we're going to have a war going on over here, a war going on over there, and we're not going to have the arms to defend ourselves. if it's true that our Tomahawk missile inventory is at 4,000, that it would only last about a week for shock and awe against Iran. Do you want to send your sons and daughters, boots on the ground, into Iran? I don't. I'd rather pull them all back and secure the southern border, secure the northern border, secure America. And I know a lot of people won't agree with me. In fact, Dave in Hendersonville, who listens all the time, calls all the time, Dave disagrees with me. What's up, Dave?
Hey, Chris, how you doing, bro?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Just another day in paradise.
I hear you, man.
Yeah, man, I know you don't like war thing, and I don't either. But if we do not hit them back and hit them back hard, then we're just going to have it's going to show more Biden weakness is what it's going to do, and it's going to intensify. It's going to get worse. We can't just let them kill 3 of our people, and I hate this, and I hate to even say this, but if there are our service members wounded bad enough, there could be more than 3.
No,
and I hate that. I don't, we've got. I mean, we can't let it go.
I get it. I just
President Trump. If President Trump was in office, he wouldn't be letting it go.
Well, and I'd argue if President Trump was in office, this would have never happened.
And I agree 100% with you.
I just feel like we're in this catch-22 of, it's like, I drink because I'm depressed because I drink. It's like we're attacked because Biden's weak, and, Biden's weakness is going to get us into a much larger mess.
Well, Chris, let me. I listen to you. I listen to you all the time, brother. You know, I call
absolutely.
But I wonder sometimes, what would it take for you to strike them back? They just killed 3 of our service members, 3 Americans, and wounded dozens. I mean, what's going to make you pull the trigger?
I just worry about what we get ourselves into in the land of unintended consequences, especially with Biden at the helm. Do you want to go into another long forever war where, today it's 3, but if this goes on for years upon years, it's going to be a lot more than 3.
Today it's 3, but if we don't do anything about it and let them just get by with it, it's going to be a lot more than 3. But I guarantee you that.
If it's true that we only have 4,000 Tomahawk missiles in inventory, and we can only do a week of shock and awe against Iran, and then Iran doesn't back down, and then we want to put boots on the ground, we want to go in there, we want to, be big bad in America, Lloyd Austin calls out of work and nobody even knows. Do you trust the leadership that we have in there to make the right choices? I don't. But again, we can't just not do anything. Do you think if we do nothing, they're going to just sit back and, okay, we won't do anything else? I hear you, and I totally get that. But I don't want to react out of this, we have to do something no matter what, anger, without thinking out all of the other consequences and the secondary actions that could come with it.
Well, I'm going to use a Tombstone Doc Holliday reference. It's the reckoning. It's not the anger, it's the reckoning. You don't kill Americans and just get away with it.
No, and I don't think that they should just get away with it, Dave. I don't. And I appreciate your call, and I get where you're at. I think that they should be held accountable. But it just scares me knowing who's in power in this country and what that will lead to. I don't want to excuse the deaths of 3 Americans. I don't want to let this slide. But I also don't want to react out of anger, and I don't trust this administration to make the right calls along the way. It's 9:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We got more of your calls next on Super Talk. Super Talk 99.7 WTN 928. My name is Chris Hand. We were talking about the bombing over the weekend, the drone attack that left 3 U.S. service members dead in Jordan. The calls from the neocon warhawk Republican wing, like Lindsey Graham, who just want to bomb Iran. I'm not for it. We had a great call from Dave in Hendersonville. A lot of people on the text line saying that both me and Dave are right. But I just feel like we're stretched too thin. You want to get us out of Ukraine? You want to pull everything out of Israel versus Hamas and handle, the attack on us? I'd be all for it. But as it stands, 3 conflicts, what could turn into, in the same way that Russia is fighting a proxy war against the West in Ukraine, we would find ourselves fighting a proxy war against the East in Iran. I see a text here from 2669. How do you propose we hold them accountable? I'm not sure. I don't have all the answers. I do know that I don't want to just go in guns blazing and ask questions later. I don't know. It's tough for me, man. I get both sides of this argument. And I get where people are at, where it's like time to bomb Iran. But this is the same leadership that emboldened Iran through their weakness, through the billions of dollars that they've been giving them for hostages. Do you trust the leadership we have to make the right decisions? Because I don't. Brian in McMinnville, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Brian?
Morning, Chris. I'm thinking this, that we do need to do something about it, but it don't have to be today or tomorrow. That's one of those things where cooler heads will prevail, hopefully. When 9/11 happened, we just didn't step the next day and start shooting at them. It took a long time for that to happen.
Yep.
And my main concern is this, is if they do, officially declare war against somebody, can they not use that to control this upcoming election?
Yeah, no, I get that, and there's often been that kind of conversation from a lot of pundits and right-wing influencers that if a big war goes kinetic, then what happens? What happens with the election?
Right.
Wartime presidents rarely get voted out, though. With what we saw in Afghanistan, it's probably not going to, go that way for Biden. But no, I'm with you, and I understand where you're coming from, Brian, and I appreciate your call, man. Thanks so much. Heather in Gallatin, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Heather?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
And really enjoy your show, by the way. Thank you very much for all you guys do. But I just wanted to, I feel like I'm having deja vu because I remember when back in 2000 when the USS Cole was bombed over in Yemen. And just what a shock that was! Like, oh my gosh, they were able to get to one of our naval ships, and I just had this feeling of dread. And then cut to 11 months later, 10 months later, we're having a 9/11, and I'm wondering, yeah, you can go to war, you can go do all of these preventative measures, but what are our alphabet companies doing? Like, before we're going to war, why aren't the intelligence agencies coming to the people and saying, this is what we know, this is what we would like to do? Not saying give us a plan, obviously, but just have, like, some sort of alternative other than just taking up immediate arms and going to war. And also following up on intelligence, because Al-Qaeda did bomb the USS Cole, and then a year later, they're bombing 2 of our buildings in the Pentagon. So where are the intelligence agencies at? Why are we just talking about war instantly, all the time?
Well, war is profitable, and I get where you're coming from. It's like if we take our eye off what's happening in our country, are we facing a terrorist attack down the road like we were with the USS Cole? And for everybody that doesn't know, it was October of 2000. There was a small boat that pulled alongside the USS Cole, and it blew a hole in it. It was a suicide boat, and it killed 17 sailors, U.S. sailors, and injured about 40 other crew members. I get where your head's at. Like, And that's kind of where I'm at as well. We have so many issues right now currently in the country. We know the southern border is wide open. We know that people on the suspected terrorist watch list are coming through. We've all seen the videos of that one Islamist that was coming across the border saying, "You'll know who I am very soon." What happens here if we take our eyes off of America? I get it, Heather, and I appreciate your call. Thanks so much. Let's go to John in the borough. You're next. You want to talk about World War III? What's up, John?
Hey, Chris. How are you, my friend?
Good. How are you, sir?
Good. So what needs to be done is, with everything that's going on, we don't have the administration nor the military to do anything on a military front. I have no faith in it whatsoever.
Well,
but what they need to do is stop all the funding to Ukraine, Israel, every one of them, take every one of our troops, bring them home, secure our borders, do a mass deportation, get all of these people out of this country. Then if they attack us here, then we go into a military strike. But the thing is everybody wants to sit and talk and talk and talk and talk, but nothing is getting done. And what I'm afraid is going to come down to is the American citizens are fixing to stand up and show them what a real insurrection looks like and take our government back.
Yeah, I mean, and it's hard to argue with that, and I hope it doesn't come to that. I don't advocate for that, but I do get where you're at. Bring everybody home. Can we just get back to protecting America first? A lot of these bases shouldn't even really be there. Why are they there? They're there because of the wars that the neocons started in the early 2000s.
But we will hurt them more by taking all their funding and shutting down trade coming in and out of this country from them. If we completely shut their funding down, that's going to hurt them more than us going in there and doing a military strike.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I also agree with your assessment about the leadership that we have currently and not trusting them. I mean, you look at guys like Milley, who's more concerned about the dangers of whiteness and putting woke military practices into action. Does that make us safer?
No, not at all.
No, I appreciate your call, John. Thanks so much. It's 9:35 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Paul Winkler, Inc. There's so much that you can't control, but you can control your financial future. And I'm so happy that I linked up with Paul and his team. Full disclosure, my wife and I, we didn't have a plan for retirement. We didn't have a plan for what we have coming down the road with our 4 kids, be it college, weddings. But we do now because we linked up with Paul and his team. Now, Paul and his team hold themselves to a higher level of fiduciary standard than is required. Because of that, government regulators require that I tell you I'm paid every time this commercial airs. That's the truth. But that's not why I decided to become a client of Paul's. I decided to become a client because Paul can break things down for me and answer my financial questions in a way that I can understand. And he does it honestly, and I like it. Paul's a smart guy. He knows the financial world better than I do. And with Paul and his team, nothing is done on commission. So you know that when they're helping you with your financial future, it's for your financial future and not theirs because nothing is done on commission. He's made my family's financial goals way more realistic by explaining what to do and why, and he can do the exact same thing for you, teaching you along the way. The investment education that they provide is evidence-based and backed by Nobel Prize-winning research. Check these guys out. Every office is run by a degreed planner with over 20 years of experience, and you can feel the difference between Paul's team and the rest. That experience equals confidence. So do what I did. Talk to one of his team members. Set up a complimentary 15-minute phone call right now on his website, paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com, or call 615-851-1950.
What I will say, obviously our deepest condolences go out, and our heartfelt condolences go out to the families who lost three folks who are military folks, who are brave, who are always fighting, who are fighting on behalf of this administration, of the American people. Obviously, more importantly, we lost those souls.
That was Karine Jean-Pierre this morning. This administration can't even get their ducks in a row for a statement. And people want to trust them to lead us into Iran. I don't know. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What say you? Let's go to John in Cedar Hill on line 3. John, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, man? Jeff. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, good morning. I just have probably a unique perspective on this. I'm retired military. Got a lot of friends still in. Unfortunately, they have to stay just because they're the position they're in. But anyway, I don't understand what we're doing over there. What is our mission? What does victory look like? What are our goals, our objectives? I mean, nobody can seem to answer that. This tit for tat, back and forth, what has that gained us? We've three dead currently, 30 plus injured, more to come if we continue this. And what's the end state? I have friends tell me they can't even put 4 carriers, or at best 4 carriers at sea at one time, because they don't have the manpower to do more.
Yeah, it's crazy, Jeff, and I appreciate your call. Thanks for calling in, man. You know, this is where I'm at. We have woke military leaders. We have record low recruitment. We have stockpile issues because of the foreign entanglements that we're already in. And you have the neocon war class that wants us to go to war again. I got a text here from Owen84. Some people probably like this. Says, you are the biggest wuss at WTN, but you are from the wuss generation. On one hand, you criticize Biden for not doing anything about Iranian attacks, and then on the other, you criticize those who do. You are definitely not a Ronald Reagan Republican. I just don't trust the leadership that we have to get us into this conflict and do any, like our last caller, Jeff, said, what are the goals? What does winning look like? Do you trust this administration, 0184? Rocco texted in as well. He said, same old Chris Hand, playing it safe so he can later say he wasn't wrong. Not really taking a stance. My stance is that I don't want to get into another forever Middle Eastern war. The same ones that I had friends go overseas and fight in. What did we gain from those wars? What did we gain? Are we going to gain anything now? Or is it just going to be another debacle down the road like the Afghanistan pullout? You tell me. Larry in Lawrenceburg, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Larry?
Oh, we got problems, my friend. We got problems.
Yes, sir. What's up?
Well, I was just calling to talk about some of this stuff. I'm telling you, America's weak. We've never been weaker. We've got these illegals in here who we're going to have to fight to get them out. We got a imbecile in the White House who, this is a serious situation. We're about to lose our country. And the men are going to have to stand up, the Republicans, and do what's right. This election's not going to work. It's fixed already, just like the last one. Can't depend on the election, so you better get ready to fight.
I feel like we do have a chance at winning the election. I get where you're at on being disenfranchised, but I think that we still have a chance. You're seeing Trump support in record numbers. So
I have 50 years experience in the intelligence agencies. I know what I'm talking about. You don't have a chance. The only chance you have is to fight now. And you better get ready to fight because it's going to happen.
Well, I appreciate your call, Larry. Thanks so much. Yeah. It's one of those things. I'm not going to advocate for people to go out and cause violence. But I do think that there comes a time to stand up. You know, we're seeing that trucker convoys coming, and it's starting today through February 3rd. A bunch of people rallying on the border peacefully. I think that's a good start. But this is where we're at. We have so many issues in this country. Do you really trust this administration to do a war with Iran right? Brent in Winchester, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Brent?
Hey, I know I've heard you mention it before, and I know it. Remember Tucker Carlson said Trump's biggest crime and why they're out to get him is because he didn't play into the military-industrial complex, which Eisenhower warned us about in his final address. So,
yeah, I've played that audio before.
Yeah, you've said that before, and I think people need to remember that and be wary of it.
I think that we always need to be wary of the military-industrial complex. They profit from war. They profit from death and destruction.
Yes, and I think that's why Donald Trump has 91 indictments and facing 700 years in jail.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely don't like the man, that's for sure. I appreciate your call, Brent. Thanks so much, man. What do you think? 615-737-9986. We have battles on multiple fronts. And personally, I think a war with Iran turns into a Ukraine-Russia, except flipped. We'd fight Iran, and it'd be a proxy war when the East would be supporting Iran. Do you trust our woke military now? Not the rank and file, not the boots on the ground, but the leadership. Do you trust them to do the right thing? Do you trust them to make the right calls? What does victory look like in Iran? Is it regime change? That worked in Iraq so well. Didn't we just do all this? Is that what we want? It's not what I want. I'm not sure it's what America needs. I think what we need is a secure southern border, deportation of the people that have gotten into this country illegally, securing our shores, taking care of our veterans, taking care of our problems, and to stop being the world police. Maybe it's not popular. It's not popular with some of you on the super text line. Some people agree, but some people think I'm a wuss for this take. So, so some people think that I'm absolutely 100% wrong. And I'm not going to say that I can guarantee you I'm right or that not doing anything doesn't do anything but embolden Iran. I understand those arguments. I just don't think that getting into a war with Iran is a winning move at this time. But, the war hawks, they'll cry for it. Lindsey Graham, he's yelling for it. John Cornyn out of Texas, he's screaming for it. We wouldn't be in this position if we didn't have a weak president and a weak administration in charge. We just wouldn't. That's the harsh reality of this. We're in this position because of the weakness at the top. But if we get into a war with Iran, that weakness at the top will be the ones leading us into that war. Do you trust them? I sure as hell don't. It's 9:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Getting tons of messages at 615-737-9986. 1313 texted in, said, Chris, I'm guessing these folks calling you out for your stand on this are not willing to pick up arms and fight alongside those who are. I said, no. They want to send someone else's sons and daughters to war. And maybe I'm looking at this through a different lens, because now I have two young boys who look up to veterans, respect the hell out of them. They'll see somebody with a veteran's hat, and they'll go shake their hands, say thank you for your service, sir. You know, these are kids that want to be in the military, and that would be my sons going over there to fight. Just seems like a messy situation, and the guy that people trust to lead us through this, or is, you know, maybe you don't trust him, probably you don't trust him, but the guy that would be leading us through this is this guy with all of his world geopolitical experience.
It's about who we are. It's about think about it, how the world looks at us. I've been doing foreign policy for a long time. I was chairman of those committees. That's why Barack asked me to get his ticket. And I know every one of those heads of state. I've known them for a while. And every meeting I go to internationally, I just walk out with Mr. God too, I can sit in front of the press. Virtually every one of them pull me aside and say, you've got to win. You can't let that happen again.
You can't even understand the man. We're in this position because Biden and Harris had a strong policy against Iran on the books already.
I wonder, what is your message to Hezbollah and its backer, Iran? Don't.
That didn't really work.
Don't.
Oh.
As President Biden said, just don't.
Exactly. One word. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and it's pretty straightforward that nobody in the world really cares what the Biden-Harris administration thinks. Rob and Beth Page, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Rob?
Hey, glad to talk to you today. Just going to give you my thoughts. If there is going to be any kind of retaliation, I think we need to kind of collude a little bit with Israel and figure out where their nuclear facilities are that they've been working on for years. And I think we need to hit them right there. Number one, that'll probably buy us some time, because if Iran ever gets a nuclear weapon, man, we're sunk.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hearing the Iran nuclear weapon thing for, I feel like, decades now.
Well, they've put a lot of time and effort in it. And I think, if we would dismantle that with some good old Moabs or whatever they want to send over there, and it would absolutely help us, time-wise, because, again, when they get one, then they're going to be a real force to reckon with.
Hey, I appreciate your call, Rob. Thanks so much. Targeted strikes, one thing, but I don't think even if we responded with targeted strikes that it would stop there. I think it would just get messier and messier and messier and lead to boots on the ground. And that's something I want no part of. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Released after the weekend drone strike that killed 3 U.S. military personnel and injured 34 others in Jordan. U.S. is blaming Iranian-backed militias and says it will respond at a time of its choosing. As for what that response could look like, retired General Robert Abrams, an ABC News contributor, says
we're talking about 600-mile range, the range of that suicide drone that struck on Saturday. That's going to all be in play.
House Republicans preparing articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Meanwhile, the border dispute between the federal government and state of Texas continues. Other states are weighing in as ABC's Jim Ryan says Idaho state troopers are heading south.
Governor Brad Little is sending 2 teams of Idaho state troopers to act as, quote, a force multiplier at our lawless southern border, unquote. The distance from Idaho to the U.S.-Mexico border in California or Arizona is considerably shorter, but those states both have Democratic governors. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, like Brad Little, is a Republican.
New FBI statistics show which areas see the most hate crimes. It's homes, it's the road, and in third, it's at schools.
FBI researchers say from 2018 to 2022, a staggering 30% of juvenile victims of hate crimes experienced it at school, and nearly 36% of juvenile offenders committed the crimes at school, with intimidation being the biggest form of hate, anti-black or African-American hate crimes the highest, followed by anti-Jewish and anti-LGBTQ offenses. Derek Dennis, ABC News.
The Dow trading slightly lower in morning activity. You're listening to ABC News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You know, we're talking about this escalation of events with Iran after they bombed U.S. military locations in Jordan. At least that's what all reports are leading to. Iran has gone on record saying that it wasn't them, but, I mean, it probably was them. The funding, though, that comes from us. We basically paid for this attack via Joe Biden, giving them billions for hostages, removing sanctions, enabling them. The weakness from this administration. That's why we're in this position that we're in. Joe Biden was at a Democratic dinner in South Carolina over the weekend, and he doesn't sound great. He doesn't sound great at all.
Folks, if I were smart, I'd say thank you and leave.
I wish he would. I wish he would. And he talks about things in the country being pretty tough.
I think this country's have been pretty tough for a lot of people. But we're making progress. There's a lot more on the way.
What, a lot more tough things?
Yeah, that's what I would. Yeah, a lot more hardship.
Progress? I mean, things have been pretty tough. Yep.
Bingo.
Checks out. Checks out. And then he brags about the economy doing great as well.
Inflation is coming down. It's now lower in America than any other major economy in the world. The cost of eggs, milk, chicken, gas, and so many other essential items have come down.
Prices are still up over 17% with this guy.
But for all we've done to bring prices down, there are still too many corporations in America ripping people off.
Oh, okay. It's the corporation's fault. You knew that, right? It's the big corporation's fault that the economy's bad under Joe Biden.
Greedflation, shrinkflation. You see that article about the Snickers bars? Well, it's going to stop. America, we're tired of being played for suckers.
I'm tired for being played like a sucker in this administration. He said this thing. Did you see the article about the Snickers bar?
The Snickers bar?
Did you see the article about the Snickers bar?
About the Snickers bar?
So full disclosure, I hadn't seen the article about the Snickers bar. I Googled it, and the first thing that popped up was Mississippi woman claims she found rat tooth inside Snickers bar.
Oh.
Yeah. That was the top result. The next one down was the one he was talking about, though. There's a New York Times article. And they said, it was from a week ago. New York Times reported, why are consumers upset? Consider the Snickers bar. Consumers frequently focus on price levels. A slowing in the rate of inflation does not mean prices are coming back to where they were. It simply means that prices are rising at a slower pace than before. Consumers who have experienced a long period of low inflation, when many prices were static, want to get back to the price level that they remember. Yeah, makes sense. The last time consumer price inflation was above 4% for more than a few months was the beginning of the 90s. If something cost $1 for a decade, consumers resent the fact that the same product is $1.20 today, even if the price of that product is no longer rising. Mentally, customers feel that product ought to cost $1 and they're nostalgic for the old price. I feel like this. Don't you feel like this with like 25-cent pack gum?
Yeah.
Don't you remember that?
100%.
What are we at now? It's like 50 cents?
Yeah.
Well, they say the mentality, this is the New York Times article, the mentality is one reason for what sometimes is called shrinkflation. Companies will keep the price of their product consistent, but shrink the product size because they don't want to shock people with that sticker price.
The Big Mac.
Yeah, the Big Mac. Shrinkflation, though, has been happening for a while. Joe Biden blames corporations. This is who we trust to lead us. And he does this all the time. He actually even went on to say that his economy is better than Trump's.
Folks, the bottom line is our economy has grown more in the last 6 months than it ever did at any point in Trump's entire 4 years in office.
I don't know about that. Gas prices way up. Food prices way up. Just 13% of Americans think they're better off financially under Biden. Here's something that really caught my eye, though, about President Biden, especially when we're thinking about this being the guy that leads us into military conflict. He repeated the same old lie about Trump skipping the funeral for soldiers in France and calling them losers in his South Carolina speech.
Donald Trump, when he was commander-in-chief, refused to visit a cemetery, U.S. cemetery outside of Paris for fallen American soldiers. And he referred to those heroes, and I quote, as suckers and losers. He actually said that. He said that. How dare he say that? How dare he talk about my son and all of us like that?
But he didn't say that, and this is the thing that drives me nuts. Joe Biden, the guy that checks his watch during the funeral for Afghanistan service members who were lost after his botched Afghanistan pullout, he references this 2020 article published by The Atlantic where an anonymous source alleged that then President Trump refused to go to this cemetery. And he said, the quote said, "Why should I go to that cemetery? It's filled with losers." But that didn't happen. In a press conference at the time, Trump repeatedly claimed that the allegations were a hoax. His former chief of staff, General John Kelly, said of the allegation that it was a hoax. Former White House press secretary Kayleigh McEnany said it was a hoax. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who was White House press secretary at the time of the trip, said, "I was actually there And one of the people part of the discussion, this never happened. A Trump aide at the time added, this is not even close to being factually accurate. And this is who we have leading us.
He actually said that.
He didn't say it.
He said that. How dare he say that?
He didn't say it. And he's screaming at a South Carolina Democratic dinner. Unbelievable. He was interrupted by hecklers again, too.
And here's what it did.
And then they started chanting 4 more years. You know, Nancy Pelosi has an interesting take on why he keeps getting interrupted by hecklers. It's Russia.
You think some of these protests are Russian plants?
I think they're plants. I think some financing should be investigated.
Oh, okay. It's Russia's fault. It's Russia's fault. I wonder how much, research they're putting into the fact that this is all real. You know, they'll tell you it's Russia. That's what they'll say. But this is organic. In fact, the Arab coalition, Arab leaders in Michigan don't even want to meet with Joe Biden's reelection campaign. They don't want to meet with him. It's not Russia. They claim it's his actions in Gaza. This is where we're at. But they'll say it's Russia. This is our leadership. They'll lie. But the Biden reelection campaign team gets shunned by Arab American leaders while visiting Michigan. They say his campaign manager traveled to suburban Detroit, where many Arab Americans are enraged over the administration's Israel policy, and found a number of community leaders unwilling to meet with her, exposing a growing rift between the White House and key groups of often otherwise loyal to Democrats in a critical swing state. It was Julie Chavez Rodriguez leading a group of campaign advisors to the Dearborn area as part of her ongoing effort to meet with the supporters of Joe Biden around the country. And they didn't want to meet with her. Other activists went beyond not showing up for her. Leaders from the Abandon Biden movement, a movement discouraging voters from supporting Joe in November, spoke to hundreds of people at a local mosque in anticipation of the campaign manager's visit to speak against them. He's losing support left and right. Joe Biden. Color me shocked. And this is who we trust? This is who we trust to lead us into Iran to deal with this threat? Do you trust this man? At his campaign dinner in South Carolina, this Democratic dinner, he even stole a re-election campaign line from Donald Trump.
Comes down to a simple proposition. Promises made and promises kept.
Wasn't that Trump's whole re-election 2020 line? Promises made, promises kept. Just back to plagiarizing again. Joe Biden. Is this who we trust? Gavin Newsom trusts him. Gavin Newsom was all in on Joe Biden, and he thinks that been a pretty good 3 years under Joe.
And we need to lift up the issues, the successes, this extraordinary successes of the last 3 years, the Biden-Harris administration, and then we drive contrast. It's not even a complicated campaign. We have the receipts. We have the best 3-year record of any modern American presidency. Period. Full stop.
That was Gavin Newsom on ABC over the weekend. The best 3-year record of any modern American presidency. Period. Full stop. Botched Afghanistan withdrawal, service members dying in Jordan over the weekend. The best 3-year record of any modern American presidency.
3-year record of any modern American presidency. Period. Full stop.
Just holding water for Joe Biden. And he gets pushback. His approval rating is historically low. Why?
Biden's approval is historically low. Why is that?
Everybody's approval across the spectrum. You find exceptions to that. Look, it's been hard globally the last 6-7 years. But again, America stands tall, or the tentpole of the world economy. No peers economically. Again, a masterclass of delivering. The economy is booming, inflation is cooling, and of course the economic strategies this president's put together were all things Republicans dreamt of.
Oh, yeah, we've been dreaming of this. He's booming. Gavin Newsom. Gaslighting us. You know, at least you can understand why they've enlisted the help of Gavin Newsom. He talks slick. AOC, on the flip side, she was on Meet the Press over the weekend, also holding water for Biden, but she's not as smooth. Not as smooth as Gavin Newsom. Not even close.
Do you think President Biden is the strongest person to take on former President Trump, given everything you've just said, Congresswoman?
I think what we have right now, what we've seen in New Hampshire, he is virtually the nominee of the party.
Virtually the nominee of the party. An incumbent president, virtually the nominee. Did you hear the rumors that there's been a lot of internet rumors that Dean Phillips basically had New Hampshire ripped away from him from fake write-in ballots because they didn't want Biden to be embarrassed in New Hampshire? I didn't take much of it into account until Tim Burchett, our congressman, quote tweeted the theory and wrote, Dean Phillips is an honorable man. I thought it was fascinating. So, you know, AOC, he after New Hampshire, he's virtually our nominee.
What we've seen in New Hampshire, he is virtually the nominee of the party.
This is why Gavin Newsom is part of the team and AOC really isn't. In fact, Meet the Press, Kristen Welker asked AOC, has the campaign reached out to you?
Has the Biden campaign reached out to you and said, we want you to help reelect President Biden? How do you see your role and the role of progressives in this reelection effort?
I see my role overall as really trying to expand the power of movements.
Have they reached
in the
out to
United
you,
States of America and peoples? We've been in contact with we've been in contact with the Biden administration throughout my term and throughout his term as well, and I know that he has been in contact, with many members of Congress. But I think what is most important is that, and in terms of my role, I think my role is in allegiance to people's movements across this country.
Doesn't sound like they've reached out to her, does it? Can you blame them? Doesn't sound like they've reached out to AOC.
I'm the boss.
Okay, sorry. Maybe she does the reaching out. I've reached out to him, actually.
Have they reached out? Oh, we've been in contact the whole time. So no.
It's a little sus, right? It's a little sus. But Biden is losing support left and right. The Arab community doesn't want him. Hispanic polls, Trump is leading with Hispanics. There's been tons of polls out there. And even in the black community, voters don't want Joe Biden.
And Biden just want to cause more bills for everybody, and you got a lot of homeless people out here. I think the black community is everybody community.
I did vote for Biden last election, and if he is running again, I don't think that would be a selection I would make.
If he is running again, I don't think that would be a selection I would make. Well, and it seems like everybody's coming to their senses on Joe Biden. Snoop Dogg is out on Joe Biden as well, and he's on the Trump train. Snoop Dogg saying that he has nothing but love and respect for Donald Trump. The rapper was taking part in an interview with the UK Sunday Times Journal, and he made the declaration of fondness for Trump. Said, Donald Trump, he ain't done nothing wrong to me. He's only done great things for me. He pardoned Michael Harris. Michael Harris was the co-founder of Death Row Records. He was in prison for drug sentences or for drug offenses when Trump let him free. And a lot of those pardons have gone a long way with the black community. He freed Kodak. Lil Wayne got a pardon. And the black community in general have seen the policies of Joe Biden rip their communities to shreds. While under Trump, money was coming in. Under Biden, only illegal aliens coming in.
Don't.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's 10:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Nikki Haley weighed in on the tensions in the Middle East this morning. I think she's on CNBC here. She's calling for retaliatory strikes on Iran's resources.
What would that mean in practice? When you say Biden didn't do something, what was that something that he should have been doing?
The very first strike that hit, you punch and you punch back hard. What they should be doing is going after every ounce of production of those missiles, wherever those missiles are, you take that out. You keep doing. You take out the training sites. You go and you.
But does that risk escalating a war?
Does that mean striking Iran directly?
It means striking the resources that are allowing them to hurt our troops. That's what you're doing. It's not going after
They're backed by Iran. Iran says that they're not declaring the shots, but Iran's training them. They're providing intelligence. They're providing weapons.
And this goes
there
back.
would be no Hamas without Iran, Hezbollah without Iran, or Houthis without Iran.
But
yes, you're going.
Iran is a really big escalation. And
you go after wherever those missiles are, the production, wherever it is in Iraq and Syria, you take that out. Wherever it is in Lebanon that they're doing that, you take that out. You go after the leaders making the decisions. It's not after Iran, the country. It's after the people who are making these decisions. When Soleimani was assassinated, it sent a chill up their spine. They literally, it took their breath out. You have to be strategic. It's not starting war. It's actually preventing war.
Nikki Haley, neocon Nikki, wanting more war. Not shocking. The difference between when they took out Soleimani is Trump had a strong military, strong foreign policy, and he actually had friends in the region. The Abraham Accords were happening. He was making, movement with all these people. He actually had allies. Can you say the same about Biden? Do you trust this administration to do what Nikki Haley wants them to do? I don't know. I question Nikki Haley's judgment on quite a few things. And this just came out this morning, calling for retaliatory strikes on Iran's resources, saying it's not starting war, it's actually preventing war. It's Nikki Haley with another predictable Nikki Haley take. She's in the same class of Republican as the Lindsey Grahams, as the John Boltons. That's Nikki Haley. That's Nikki Haley for you. It's not the first bad take that she had all weekend long. Actually, she's also said that she agreed with the jury in the E. Jean Carroll case where Trump has to pay $83 million. This is Nikki Haley.
The jury has now ruled. They have found him liable of sexual abuse. Do you not trust the jury and their findings, Ambassador?
I absolutely trust the jury, and I think that they made their decision based on the evidence. I just don't think that should take him off the ballot. I think the American people will take him off the ballot. I think that's the best way to go forward, is not let him play the victim, let him play the loser. That's what we want him to do at the end of the day.
You got to trust the jury. Got to believe the jury. I have to just point out, she's with the jury, but this is who we're counting as credible, E. Jean Carroll.
You don't feel like a victim.
I was not thrown on the ground and ravished, which the word rape carries so many sexual connotations. This was not sexual.
Oh. She was raped, but it wasn't sexual.
It hurt.
But I think most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
Oh.
Let's take a short break.
Think of the fantasies.
We're going to take a quick break. If you can stick around, we'll talk more on the other side.
You're fascinating to talk to.
That's E. Jean Carroll. That's who he's supposed to believe. To put things into perspective, in this Trump E. Jean Carroll case, there was a big civil suit after O.J. Simpson's 1995 criminal case. The criminal case that had evidence where he was charged for a crime. Trump wasn't charged for a crime in the E. Jean Carroll case. But let's just forget about all that. Forget about the details. In the civil trial for O.J., he was found responsible for the deaths of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman, and their families were awarded $33 million in damages. Trump has to pay $83 million. And they don't talk about how the same people that funded Nikki Haley's campaign, like Reid Hoffman of LinkedIn, funded Jean Carroll's lawsuit. They never talk about that. The media also won't cover the fact that there's no surveillance video of the alleged incident, that there are no witnesses to the alleged sexual assault. Carroll first came forward conveniently with these allegations while promoting her book, What Do We Need Men For? Nobody talks about the timing. Carroll was unable to remember when this alleged attack even occurred. In 2023, she told her lawyer, this question, the when, the date, has been something I've been constantly trying to pin down. She originally said it was in 1994. Then she said it was in 1995. And now it floated to 96, I believe was the last date that it happened. Somewhere in a window of 3 years. She can't even remember the season in which the alleged attack occurred. Can't even remember. Interesting, right? Nobody really talks about that. She told the New York Times podcast, The Daily, that she was never even raped. She said, every woman gets to choose her word. Every woman gets to choose how she describes it. This is my way of saying it. This is my word. My word is fight. My word is not victim. I have not been raped, she said. Okay. But now they get to smear Trump as a rapist in the media. It's convenient. It's convenient. You know, this is who we're supposed to believe. She was a big fan of The Apprentice. Big fan. Wouldn't that have aired after the sexual assault? Right?
Yes.
Yes. Some years after.
For sure, I watched Celebrity Apprentice, so
would you
a lot years after.
If the host of one of your favorite TV shows raped you, would you be watching it? Probably not.
Probably not.
To each their own. To each their own. Democrat Party activists back her as well. And one of her attorneys is Roberta Kaplan, a Democrat Party activist who led the group Time's Up. She left that activist group after it was revealed that she was aiding former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo in attempting to discredit the Democrats' accusers. It's pretty ironic. And the federal judge in the case, who was overseeing the process, was like, took Roberta Kaplan under his wing. Unbelievable. Carroll's other attorney, Sean Crowley, was actually a law clerk for Judge Kaplan. Judge Kaplan officiated her wedding. No conflict of interest, right? None. This whole thing is hot garbage. And then E. Jean Carroll's on the news this morning. You know, she's taking her victory lap. And she says, I'll do anything I can to help Biden's campaign defeat Trump in 2024. This is what she said this morning.
You've said that when you've actually faced the man, he's just a man with no clothes on.
Yeah.
It's the people around him that are giving him the power. What do you mean by that?
Well, Hans Christian Andersen's great fairy tale, The Emperor Has No Clothes, that is written about Donald Trump. It's just, we're the ones who clothe him in all this power. He has none himself. It's his followers. It's his hangers-on. In the court, they were strutting back and forth and handing him messages. It was, right, Robbie?
Ms. Carroll, you say nothing. You say the emperor has no clothes. The emperor is trying to run for president again.
And right now is leading.
And right now, the polls suggest it's a coin flip. It's very close. Have you heard from Joe Biden's campaign arm about potentially campaigning against the former president, Donald Trump?
No.
Are you interested in doing so?
Do anything I can.
That's it.
She'll do anything she can. Anything. Right after she finishes The Apprentice on DVD. It's 10:35 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We're talking about E. Jean Carroll. People weighing in on the Super Text line. I didn't mention, but I knew this, but I missed it in my notes. 3616 reminding me the dress she claimed she was wearing hadn't even been made yet. Yeah, she wore the dress on the cover of the New Yorker magazine. A lot of people saying 4083, this whole thing is just BS. John pointing out, civil trial verdicts do not convict one criminally. Corrupt media keeps reporting that Trump was found guilty of rape. Civil trial lawyers are so corrupt and greedy as well. This is judicial fraud. And this is how they're going to be positioning this. Trump is guilty of rape, found liable of sexual assault, and they will use it against him. Cedric, our friend from Kentucky, is on line 2. He wants to talk E. Jean Carroll. What's up, Cedric?
Hey, how you doing today, Chris?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. I don't, I kind of kept up with that myself, but I just want to ask the question. I mean, I kept up with that pretty much myself, that trial. But make a long story short, we know, of course, that rape itself, sexual assault is just a better word or something to clean up a word rape, period. But a violation is when you touch someone, whether it be male or female, somewhere that they don't want to be touched. You have violated the individual, especially when you're touching their private parts or whatever. Do you believe, this is my question, that every individual has another side to them? That's my question. Do you believe that all of us, including yourself, has another side or a secret that we have held or hold on to that nobody knows about?
I'm just trying to follow you where you're going with it. I'm not sure of your logic.
Okay. Number one,
are you trying to say that you believe E. Jean Carroll over Trump?
Well, no. Dark money will cover up. I mean, money will cover up dark secrets. My point is this. I'm not saying that I believe that, but do you believe? So you're basically saying that you don't believe the jurors of your peers. You don't believe that the the judge.
Do you think that Trump is going to get a jury of his peers in New York City?
Okay, now, well, all of them Democrats? That's my question.
In liberal New York City, in liberal New York City, do you think that he's going to get a jury of his peers?
Not necessarily.
So, I mean, and then she was suing for what, $23 million? She gets awarded $83?
Right.
She can't remember the year that it happened? You're sexually assaulted by somebody and you become a big fan of their TV show?
Right. I understand that.
There's a lot of questions, Cedric. A lot of questions. And
okay, can I get you to do something for me? Not now, but just when you get a chance tonight, when you get it home, I need you to look up something for me. Would you look up the Central Park 5 of 1996?
I'll check it out, man. Hey, how's your friend, by the way? How's your friend holding up?
He's good. He's good, man. He's just really messed up, He's really, I think he's kind of on that, I'm trying to keep an eye on him. He's on that, kind of like he's not sounding real good as far as that suicidal thing. He's really messed up behind his son, but we've all keep an eye on him and talking to him and trying to keep him in prayer, and we're going to try to keep him into the church realm, and hopefully he can get that together. But how some people just, want to close off everybody, but he's really messed up. That was his only son, and they had been trying to have a son for such a long time, and his wife kept having, miscarriages, and finally they had the first son, and just 2 years old, just messed him up real bad.
No, man, I haven't stopped. I haven't stopped thinking about that story. How's his daughter doing?
His daughter's doing better. They've got her in a body cast, but she's walking little by little, and she's home now. So she's coming along. She really is.
Good, man. All right. Well, I'm gonna keep you guys in my prayers. All right, buddy.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Cedric. Cedric, his friend had an illegal alien who was a drunk driver crash into their car and took the life of his 2-year-old son. It's the first time we've heard from Cedric since he told us that story, so I just wanted to check on him. But I do want to continue down this line of E. Jean Carroll. Rick, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Rick?
Hi, Chris. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Hey, last night on y'all's channel, there was a gentleman on there, a talk show guy, that was talking about the E.G. Carroll thing, that she was an avid and loved that crime show that's on TV that does the sexual crimes and stuff. It's
Law and Order. Law and Order, yeah. Yep, I've heard this too.
Right. She was crazy about that show, and there was an identical episode on there about 2 years before she'd come up with this thing that was the lady got raped inside that same dressing room, and she had even written a fantasy thing about her writings. The way he talked, she wrote about fantasies and stuff like that, and that was one of her writings, was almost identical to what she claimed in court Trump did to her.
Yep.
But the judge would not allow any of that to be brought to the jury.
No, of course not. Why would they let any evidence that could help Trump in?
So that's the thing. He's never been allowed in none of those trials. They keep cutting down anything that would exonerate him.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Rick. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
5230 texted in and said that the episode that she seemed to have pulled her story from was season 13, episode 11 of Law & Order SVU. The title is called Theater Tricks. I have not seen that episode, but I've heard that theory. Adam and Dixon, you're next on E. Jean Carroll. What's up, Adam?
Chris, thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to just throw this out there and just make a point. The problem with all of the accusations is there's no penalty for it. It's like anybody can drum up any story that they want with no evidence, throw it, and if it comes out to be that, he's exonerated from these charges, nothing happens to the person that's inflicting the accusations. Take that for anything. There's just no punishment for it.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, if there should be a crime, then there should be accountability for it. So that's just all I wanted to put out for that.
I'm with you. A false accusation, and even Trump aside, a false accusation can ruin someone's life.
Ruin their life, ruin their career. And I mean, look at, if somebody came up and just said, Chris, you rate me, back such and such, you have to hire attorneys and stuff to do that. It's just, it's pathetic that the potential loss that you have, that they have no accountability for it, and anybody can spitball anything and just see if it sticks.
Yeah.
I really think there should be a stiffer crime for it. If you were to be charged with it and you were convicted, if you were to get 10 years in prison, I think that should be the crime for somebody that is falsely accusing it, and if it was proved.
Yeah, I mean, I think there would have to be a high level of proving that it was a false accusation. You know what I mean? Because you can levy a charge against somebody and they can hire a great lawyer and get off. So I do think that there needs to be a high threshold for proving that there was a false accusation. But I agree, if you're willing to throw a false accusation at somebody and it's proven that it was false, there should be some penalty for that.
I agree. Chris, thank you. Love the show. Keep it up.
Hey, appreciate it, Adam. Thanks so much. Let's go to KJ in Nashville. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, KJ?
What's going on, buddy? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's up?
All right. So I just don't understand how someone can take someone to civil court and request a certain amount of money, and then the judge say, no, you're wrong. You actually deserved $50 billion more than what you were asking. And then there's no explanation. There's no demand of an explanation by anyone on how a judge could rule that thing.
Well, I think the only thing that we can come to the conclusion of is that he has a severe case of TDS. He's a Trump derangement syndrome judge. That's the only thing that I can come to. I haven't heard any other explanation for why they got more money than what you requested.
And then also, I would like to address that red herring that the caller Cedric threw out about the Central Park 5. Trump, Cedric, if you're listening, Trump was not the DA of New York. He did not prosecute those Cedric, they keep trying to put it out there that Trump was like leading the march to get the guys that were the Central Park Five. He just commented on the case, and now people like Cedric want to bring that up and try to make it seem like Trump was racist or Trump was trying to get these guys unjustified. So that's a red herring that needs to be thrown away.
Hey, I appreciate you calling that out. I can't know about everything. I was like, I'll Google it, man. You got it. And Trump, anything Trump does is racist. He's one of the worst racists of all time. So, shocker. Anita in Spring Hill on E.G. and Carroll. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Anita?
Good morning. I had a few comments to make about some of the things the juries did not hear.
Yes, ma'am.
One, she presented an article of clothing she said she was wearing when this supposedly happened, and it's been proven that wasn't even made in that time frame.
Yep. She wore it on the cover of the New Yorker.
Right. And number two, the guy that is sponsoring her and donating her is donating to Nikki Haley, so why won't Nikki Haley support her judgment?
Yep, Reed Hoffman. Yep, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. And the other thing was that Law and Order was her favorite show. Well, this is an actual episode on Law and Order using that same department store and that same kind of thing happening.
Yep, a super texter pointed out it was season 13, episode 11 of Law and Order SVU.
Right. So it's too many things, and women like her hurt the cases for normal women like us if this happens to us.
I couldn't agree with that more.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Appreciate your call, Anita. It's 10:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You don't feel like a victim?
I was not thrown on the ground and ravished, which the word rape carries so many sexual connotations. This was not sexual. It hurt.
Well, I think most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
It's a weird take.
Let's take a short break.
Think of the fantasies.
No.
We're just going to take a quick break. If you can stick around, we'll talk more on the other side.
You're fascinating to talk to.
That was E. Jean Carroll making Anderson Cooper visually squirm in his seat, saying rape is sexy.
Assault, it is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
She's a weird lady. Weird indeed. Well, a lot of people weighing in on the super text line. Thank you guys for your texts. I did get a text here from 3718. You know, our friend Cedric calls in all the time. He disagrees with me occasionally. And he brought up the Central Park Five. Full disclosure, I'm not as familiar with that story as maybe I should be. But 3718 texted in, said, surprising that Cedric would support the infallibility of a jury, considering how many African Americans in the South would have been wrongly convicted by a jury that wasn't their peers. And at the same time, when I said that this was not a jury of Trump's peers, Cedric kind of disagreed. Not fully, but he sort of did. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
From ABC News, I'm Daria Albinger. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin joined by NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg a day after a deadly drone attack on U.S. troops in Jordan. Austin says the U.S. will respond.
The President and I will not tolerate attack on U.S. forces, and we will take all necessary actions to defend the U.S. and our troops.
The attack, which was carried out by Iran-backed militants, killed 3 U.S. service members and wounded dozens of others, leaving many with traumatic brain injuries.
The White House says President Biden is working his way through options. National Security spokesman John Kirby telling ABC's Good Morning America the president's national security team laid out options and he's considering retaliation.
We'll do that in a time and a manner of our choosing to see what we can do to help bring these attacks to an end and make sure that we can protect our troops and facilities.
Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
This was also Austin's first day back at the Pentagon following surgery for prostate cancer. There are still calls for President Biden to fire Austin, who waited to notify the White House and other officials about his surgery. Another member of the Biden cabinet is facing an impeachment inquiry from House Republicans.
Republicans in the House are trying to impeach Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, accusing him of violating his oath of office by, quote, willfully and systematically refusing to comply with federal immigration laws. Now, the House Homeland Security Committee is now set to consider these articles of impeachment tomorrow, and the House Speaker is promising a floor vote as soon as possible. But the department is defending Mayorkas, calling this impeachment effort just an evidence-free political stunt.
ABC's chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce. The Senate is trying to reach a bipartisan deal on immigration reform. It could lead to faster processing of asylum claims, and it would give the president the emergency authority to shut down the border if needed. Former President Trump wants Republicans to reject the deal. Just before the hour, the Dow is up 7 points. You're listening to ABC News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I just got like 4 or 5 texts saying that Eugene Carroll sounds like Nancy Pelosi.
I thought the same thing.
Assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
Okay, I can see that.
What a ridiculous clown show.
Yep, they're pretty
similar.
Pretty similar. Yep. I mean, like, you see the text line? Like 10 people.
Yeah, thought it was Nancy. She sounds just like Nancy Pelosi. Yeah.
You're fascinating to talk to. What a ridiculous clown show.
Wow.
Could they be clones? I feel like we're not asking the right questions.
We're looking at this all wrong.
We're the number one show for clone theories, apparently.
By a mile.
By a mile. Way out in front. Way out in front. That's why people find us fascinating.
You're fascinating to talk to.
Okay. Eugene Carroll.
You can hear Anderson Cooper's like little laugh of just like, I don't know what to say, but we need to get out of
he
this.
just
we need to leave.
Squirms. He squirms. Yeah. Yep. We also need to get out of this. I don't know how much longer we can spend on Eugene.
You're fascinating to talk to.
Thank you. Might need to say that for a hotkey.
You're fascinating to talk to.
Whenever we get like a caller that's like really, really angry at me, you can just hit him with a...
You're fascinating to talk to.
On it.
Perfect. You know, sometimes people get upset with me. Trump was in Nevada over the weekend, and he had a banger of a rally saying tons of things that need to be said. I don't know if you guys know this. I happen to be a Trump fan. I know I try to hide it. Do my best. But I do. I like Trump. I think he says a lot of the right things. Of course, I talk to some people and they say, yeah, I wish he just wouldn't say so much. Wish he would just do the right things and not say all the things. I actually, me and my wife were on a double date over the weekend, and the people that we were with said that we like Trump. We like what he does. But sometimes he says too much. And I said, that's baked in the cake. You got to take that. You got to take the good with the bad. But he's in Nevada over the weekend. And I feel like a lot of his rallies, he's been saying a lot of things, a lot of the right things, and he's been put together for the most part. Maybe when he goes after Nikki Haley, calling her a bird brain, maybe that rubs people the wrong way. Maybe they don't like the name calling. Personally, I'm like, that's baked in the cake. But he opened up his rally thanking Greg Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick in their fight in Texas.
To Governor Greg Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan, I want to express our thanks to Governor Greg Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and the great state of Texas, where we right now have about a 40-point lead, for rightly invoking the invasion clause of the U.S. Constitution. It is an invasion. Amen. But we didn't need to do it just 3 years ago. We didn't need anybody's help because we had the safest border in U.S. history 3 years ago. We didn't need anybody's help. Today we have a catastrophe waiting to happen. It's a terrible situation. Never had anything like it before. It's the worst border anywhere in the history of the world, and I believe that includes other countries. There's never been a country where millions and millions of people are able to flow in with no vetting, no checking, no nothing. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they come from.
But they're allowed to come in. They're allowed to come in. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they're from. Well, we have an idea of where they're from. They're from all over the world. They're from China. They're from Iran. They're from Mexico. They're from terror countries. They're on watch lists. We know this. But we don't vet them. We welcome them in. And Biden doesn't do anything to help Texas. He actually, his entire term, has been fighting to make the border less secure. In Arizona, he sues the local government, has them take down their shipping container wall. In Texas, you know, they're fighting to be able to cut the razor wire. Every step of the way, Biden does the opposite of what needs to be done.
Yet unbelievably, rather than helping Texas to build our border security up, crooked Joe Biden is fighting Texas to tear our beautiful border security down. They're cutting all the wire. Let's cut the wire. Let everybody in. No. They want open borders. They could have solved, in 3 weeks, I would have been able to get another 150 miles of wall up. Think of that. All they had to do, the wall was there. All they had to do is put it up. It was all set to be put up. And you know what they did? They sold it for 5 cents on the dollar.
They did. They sold it all. The materials that were sitting there to finish the border wall. They sold it. This is a story from the New York Post, August 2023. Over the summer, the Biden administration quietly auctioning off millions of dollars worth of unused parts from President Trump's border wall for peanuts in an apparent end runaround pending legislation in Congress. Since April of 2023, they have been auctioning off steel intended for use as vertical boards in the border barriers' 30-foot tall panels. Auctioning it off. Now, Biden says, I would shut down the border today if we had a deal.
It'll also give me, as president, the emergency authority to shut down the border until it could get back under control. If that bill were the law today, I'd shut down the border right now and fix it quickly.
No, he wouldn't. He had the steel sitting there to finish building the border wall, and he sold it. The man is lying. He is gaslighting the American public. If I had the bill today, I'd shut down the border. That's just not true. Biden just blames Republicans. He blames Republicans every chance he gets. He's been blaming us nonstop. They say, if only Republicans weren't getting in the way. But he stopped construction of the wall. He sold the materials. He reinstated catch and release. He rescinded the Remain in Mexico agreement. He did all of that without a deal through Congress. He could put all that back in place without a deal through Congress, and he refuses to. But he wants to gaslight. And the deal that he wants is terrible. It's just bad. Increasing green cards, letting up to 5,000 people in, blah, 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 blah. It's so bad, Lankford has lost support with the Oklahoma GOP. They're ending all support with Senator James Lankford because of his Senate deal that would expand immigration. The Oklahoma Republican Party is ceasing all support for Senator James Lankford. He led the negotiations with other Republicans and Democrats for a Senate deal that would expand illegal and legal immigration into the United States. The deal would have expanded legal immigration by levels by 50,000 green cards annually, even as the U.S. already admits 1 million legal immigrants a year, with the nation's foreign-born population set to surpass 50 million this year, the first time in American history. He also, in this deal, would have allowed 35,000 illegal aliens to arrive at the U.S.-Mexico border every week before requiring the Department of Homeland Security to impose border controls. That's the deal that Joe Biden wants. It was a trash deal. Completely trash deal. Now the Biden admin will play the blame game. Trump addressed that at his Nevada rally as well.
And now they're trying to blame anybody that they can. They're going to blame your great lieutenant governor who's here. I appreciate it. We're going to introduce him in a second. They're going to blame you. They're going to blame the governor. They're going to blame me. They're going to blame everybody.
They'll blame everybody. They will. You know, and they've been blaming Trump for that bipartisan border bill falling apart. It's Trump's fault. Everything's Trump's fault.
A lot of the senators are trying to say respectfully they're blaming it on me. I said, that's okay. Please blame it on me. Please. Because they were getting ready to pass a very bad bill. And I'll tell you what, a bad bill is, I'd rather have no bill than a bad bill. A bad bill you can't have. And that's what was happening in the House. As you know, the Speaker, who's, by the way, I think he's going to prove to be a very good Speaker. It's tough when you have a very small majority. Very tough. Mike Johnson, Speaker. He just said it's dead on arrival in the House. It's dead on arrival. We want either a strong bill or no bill, and whatever happens, happens.
Strong bill or no bill? Well, let me ask you, 615-737-9986. Does allowing up to 35,000 illegal aliens arrive at the U.S.-Mexico border every week before requiring the Department of Homeland Security to impose border control sound like a good deal? And the deal they had, does allowing illegal aliens get expedited work permits to take American jobs sound like a good deal to you? What about unaccompanied alien children, UACs, being provided taxpayer-funded lawyers? Does that sound like a good deal? Well, the members of the Oklahoma Republican Party said, no, it's a terrible deal. And because of that, they have adopted a resolution to condemn and censure Lankford for his work on that deal. I say good. They wrote, be it resolved that the OK GOP strongly condemns Senator James Lankford if and to the extent that he continues these actions and calls upon him to cease and desist, jeopardizing the security and liberty of the people of Oklahoma and of these United States. The Oklahoma GOP members made it clear in the resolution that the party's platform supports limited legal immigration to the United States. It cuts existing annual admissions to prevent an adverse effect on our national security, wages, housing, environment, medical care, or schools. The Oklahoma GOP also noted, we oppose a path to citizenship that would grant citizenship to illegal aliens. Authorizing several thousand people to invade our borders before any action can be taken is contrary to the oath that Senator Lankford took to the Constitution and therefore outside of the area that he is authorized to negotiate on. I love it. You have to deal with the people in your own party that are making the wrong decisions first. And the Oklahoma GOP, they're not putting up with it. Condemning and censuring Senator Lankford. Biden thinks it was a good deal. Biden wants people to think that if they just took the deal, he could shut down the border today.
It'll also give me, as president, the emergency authority to shut down the border until it could get back under control. If that bill were the law today, I'd shut down the border right now and fix it quickly.
Okay. A bad deal is a bad deal. 35,000 illegal aliens a week until DHS can get involved. Senator Lankford, who the Oklahoma GOP censured, said of the deal, it is a shutdown of the border, and everyone actually gets turned around. That's the focus of what we have right now, is how do we intervene in this administration and turn people around and not let people in? I don't know how letting 35,000 people a week in is turning them around. He said that the language of the bill had not been finalized and attributed the speculation to internet rumors. Internet rumors. Well, then explain why the Oklahoma GOP has condemned and censored you for those internet rumors, Senator Lankford. The border is an absolute mess. Biden blames Republicans. And then, in what appears to be retaliation of Texas's defiance, Biden has stopped the approval of LNG exports. The Texas Land Commissioner, Don Buckingham, said President Joe Biden's recent decision to stop the approval of liquefied natural gas exports looks more like a retaliation than a sound policy decision. Are they targeting Texas? Are these retaliatory strikes? Because Biden knows the optics. They've bent the knee to the Texas National Guard. They're not going in to cut the razor wire. They're not being given access. They've ignored all the warnings. They've ignored all the notices. And it seems like Biden stopping the approval of liquefied natural gas is just that. An attack on Texas. Biden's announcement came one day after Texas took a bold stand in defending our border against foreign invaders. That's what the Texas Land Commissioner, Don Buckingham, said. She went on to say, Texas is the largest exporter of natural gas in the nation and third in the world. This is reckless. This reckless federal decision, made merely a day after Texas took a bold stand in defending our border against foreign invaders, appears more like retaliation than a sound policy decision. She went on to say, I will always defend Texas's right to energy independence and stand up for the hardworking families and countless Texas school children this move will harm. Buckingham explained that Texas is the largest exporter of natural gas in the United States, third largest in the world. President Biden, on the flip side, claims his action was in line with policies to tackle the climate crisis at home and abroad. Climate. I didn't know. Now that you put it that way. That's the greatest threat we face, right? Besides white supremacists and domestic extremism, it's climate change. Biden said, while MAGA Republicans willfully deny the urgency of the climate crisis, condemning the American people to a dangerous future, my administration will not be complacent. We will not cede to special interests. All right, word. Quite the take from the Biden administration. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I know it's only the end of January, but it feels like we're getting to that time of year where we're going to be kicking our heat on in the morning to get rid of the chill in the air, and then possibly kicking on the AC in the afternoon because the house gets too warm. Now, whichever way you're going, if you're going to be kicking on your heat or your AC as we get closer into that springtime, that just means one thing. It's time to get your system serviced the best way, the Busy Bee way. With Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Busy Bee. You don't want to wait for a problem to pop up with your heat this time of year. Be proactive. Keep your unit in tip-top shape. Now, whether you need that annual maintenance, repair, or replacement plumbing, heating, or air system, call who I trust, the guys at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. When Dan had an issue with his plumbing a couple weeks back, he called Busy Bee, and they got over there jiffy quick. You're not going to find better guys in the plumbing, heating, or air system industry than Busy Bee. And if you need to replace your systems, you won't find better value on replacement systems. They offer up to 12 months, no payment, no interest with approved credit, and it pays in so many ways to sign up for that annual maintenance on your plumbing, heating, and air systems from Busy Bee. Plus, you can get added rewards and savings by signing up to be a Beehive member. They'll get you that front-of-the-line service, thorough annual maintenance on your plumbing, heating, and air systems, no overtime charges 24/7, and 10% off all repairs. Remember, they offer convenient Saturday availability for those maintenance calls, so you'll never be left out in the cold. Busy Bee, they're your Rude Pro partner for satisfaction guaranteed. Call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833 or online at busybeehvac.com.
The fact is that if Joe Biden truly wanted to secure the border, he doesn't really need a bill. I didn't need a bill. I did it without a bill. I did it with the current laws. I used Border Patrol. I didn't have a bill. I didn't need lots of different things. It's not that complicated. You say, I don't want the people coming in. They say, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 1125. My name is Chris Hand. You don't need a bill. Bills are so soft. Do it without a bill. Joe, you just do it without a bill. It's pretty easy. You end catch and release, reinstate remain in Mexico, start kicking people out. You just do it without a bill.
I didn't have a bill. I didn't need lots of different things. It's not that complicated. You say, I don't want the people coming in. They say, yes, sir.
That's it. Do you hear them? Do you hear what they'll say if you say, stop the people coming in? They say, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Problem solved. Speaking of problems that are being solved, the House GOP has filed their impeachment articles against Biden's Department of Homeland Secretary over the border invasion. This is a big deal. On Sunday, House Republicans filed 2 articles of impeachment against Biden's Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas. Over his role in the historic illegal immigration crisis at the U.S. southern border. House Republicans accused Mayorkas in the first article of willful and systemic refusal to comply with the law. If you just tell them to comply with the law, you know what they say?
Yes, sir.
That's it. And in the second article, they claim that Mayorkas has breached the public trust by allegedly making false statements, according to CNN. The articles of impeachment will be moved to the floor for a vote on Tuesday. Are you hype about that? Are you excited? See, this is my Super Bowl. You're excited about the regular Super Bowl. I'm excited about impeaching Mayorkas. Wasn't this supposed to be done a year ago? Didn't Kevin McCarthy promise us that impeaching Mayorkas was going to be a day one thing?
Bingo.
Weird. Are people still upset that Kevin McCarthy isn't Speaker of the House anymore? I don't think so. The crickets are very upset. Angry cricketing. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene published the impeachment articles on Twitter and said, Tuesday on our Homeland Security Committee, we are voting to impeach Secretary Mayorkas. She's got 2 of them, all right? First article of impeachment filed under willful and systemic refusal to comply with the law charges that Secretary Mayorkas has violated his oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States by willfully and systemically refusing to comply with federal immigration laws and acting in a manner subversive of the rule of law. Despite clear evidence that his willful and systemic refusal to comply with the law has led to unprecedented levels of illegal immigration, the fentanyl crisis, cartel control at the southwest border, and debilitating human and financial costs, Secretary Mayorkas has implemented a catch-and-release scheme, violating detention requirements and misusing parole authority, the article reads. The second article of impeachment, filed under breach of public trust, charges that Secretary Mayorkas has breached the public trust by violating his oath to well and faithfully discharge the duties of his office and his statutory duty to control and guard the border of the United States. I feel like that's a slam dunk layup drill. Secretary Mayorkas willfully failed to replace the enforcement initiatives he had abandoned with viable alternatives that would enable DHS to control and guard the border, the article reads. Furthermore, House GOP alleges that Secretary Mayorkas has also breached the trust of Congress and the American people by knowingly making false statements about the results of his willful and systemic refusal to comply with the law. The impeachment article additionally states that Secretary Mayorkas has obstructed the committee's work on vital oversight investigations, even necessitating the issuance of still unsatisfied subpoenas. The House GOP Homeland Security Committee claims that Mayorkas has proven to be a threat to national and border security as well as to the American people's health and safety. The result of the Secretary's failure to fulfill his oath of office has been a border crisis that is unprecedented in American history, a crisis that has cost the lives of thousands of his fellow Americans, the committee said. Having exhausted all other options to hold him accountable, It is unmistakably clear to the American people that Congress must exercise its constitutional duty and impeach Secretary Mayorkas. Thank you. Finally, we're well over a year late, but thank you. It's about time something gets done on this. It's about time. Now, when they impeach him in the House, will it get through the Senate? I don't know. But something needs to happen. Something needs to happen. Because that border deal that Senator Lankford worked on with the Democrats, that's not going to cut it. Mike Johnson said that's DOA in the House. And Americans are fed up. And can you blame them? Can you? I mean, Americans literally are screaming out saying we need to do something about this border crisis. Luckily, we have Republican governors standing with Texas in the fight against the federal government. It seems like the federal government is scared. They don't want the optics of what would be a battle with Texas. They don't like the optics. But Alejandro Mayorkas needs to be impeached. It was just last April that this man said the border is secure.
It is my testimony that the border is secure, and we are working every...
Border secure. That was last April. Since then, over almost 2 million gotaways have escaped into the U.S. since Biden took office. But he says the border is secure.
That the border is secure.
The border is secure. Well, hopefully his job is not. Hopefully the GOP can make something happen here. Again, I don't envision this going through the Senate, right? Because in an impeachment, it's got to pass the House, then it's got to go to the Senate. Probably nothing's going to happen. And if he is removed, he'll probably just be replaced with another loser that will do exactly what Biden wants, because Biden's the one setting the policy. And again, Biden has said on record he won't shut down the border until he has his deal.
It'll also give me, as president, the emergency authority to shut down the border until it could get back under control. If that bill were the law today, I'd shut down the border right now and fix it quickly.
Oh, he can only shut down the border and fix it if he has that law, that bill passed. If that was the law of the land, he'd shut down the border today. That's our resident in chief. Also, while this ongoing battle between Texas and the Biden administration continues, with the Texas and the GOP governors vowing to defend our southern border against invasion, new polling is out that more than 2/3 of people in this country, of likely U.S. voters, side with Texas. 69% of the country support Texas erecting barriers at the border to prevent illegal immigration. 53% strongly support. That's according to Rasmussen. Only 27% oppose Texas taking action to prevent illegal immigration. That blows my mind that it's that high. 27% of likely U.S. voters oppose Texas taking action to prevent illegal immigration. I don't want to bury the lead there. That's a lot. 27% oppose Texas taking action to prevent illegal immigration? Wild. On this question, though, they say the internals are fascinating. On this question of whether you back Texas defending the southern border against invasion, a 51% majority of black voters side with Texas, while only 32% of black voters disagree. 2/3 of independents, 66%, side with Texas, while only 29% disagree. On the direct question of whether you approve or disapprove of the Supreme Court decision that allows the Biden administration to remove barriers Texas had erected, only 46% said they approve. In comparison, a plurality of 49% said they disapprove of the decision. America has spoken loud and clear. Secure the southern border. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If you haven't been down in your crawl space lately, it is the perfect time to poke your head down there and see if you notice any standing water. With the rain we've been getting, now is the time to check it out. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at United Structural Systems, USS. Now, I've heard the USS commercials on Super Talk for years. Recently, I had the chance to meet these guys, and you know what? They're super great, honest, hardworking guys, proud of the work they do. But they told me with the work that they do, you don't know you need them until you know you need them. So that's why I'm saying with the rain we've had, if you're noticing standing water in your crawl space, wet basement walls, cracks in your basement floors, that's your house trying to tell you something, and the guys at USS will come out and make a custom plan to fix it. Now, whether you need full crawl space encapsulation, whether you need basement and crawl space waterproofing, they can do it all. And not just that, they can help you on your property as well with sinkhole remediation. They can help you with structural repair, foundation repair. They do all of it, and they've been doing it in Middle Tennessee since 1994. They aren't going anywhere. When you work with the new guy in town, you have no guarantee that they're still going to be around if you ever have a warranty issue. You don't have to worry about that with USS, and they have more than 25,000 satisfied residential customers that will back them up. These guys are community-oriented. They all have families and kids that they're raising in this community. They're not a franchise. They'll make a custom solution to meet your needs, and you won't pay until the work is done and you are satisfied. So give them a call to take a look at your crawl space. 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, or online at USSTN.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We've been talking about the border. Bring a broom. It's a mess. It's a mess. Absolute mess. So, what can we do about it as local Americans, right? Now, I'm not going on out here and being like advocating anything crazy. But like, what can you do? Well, there are Americans that are stepping up and saying enough is enough, including the Take Our Border Back convoy. I love a good trucker convoy. This is why we're the number one show with truckers, anecdotally, of course. A trucker convoy called the Army of God is headed to the U.S. southern border today to stand in solidarity with Texas and the state's decision to invoke the invasion clause of the Constitution over their illegal immigration crisis at the southern border because of Biden and Biden's policies. So the trucker convoy is titled Take Back Our Border. Starts today and will span over the next 4 days. They have asked for the event to remain peaceful. And I say good. I like this peaceful protest. I like people making their voices heard. The convoy is making 3 stops, will make stops in 3 hotspots where everybody knows illegal immigration is a problem and where they are invading. The stops include Eagle Pass, Texas, where we have the showdown with the feds, Yuma, Arizona, and San Ysidro, California. The group hopes to bring attention to the crisis at the border with Mexico due to the Biden administration's open border policies and more. And they're heading there today. Tucker had a conversation with one of the leaders of this group, and I suggest you check it out. He also talked with the Attorney General of Texas on where the border standoff goes next. So one of the leaders of the convoy, Dr. Pete Chambers, he's actually a retired U.S. Army lieutenant colonel, and he told Tucker Carlson, this is peaceful. This is a peaceful assembly. This is what we do as Americans. This is how we shed light to a subject. This is shedding of light, and it will result in exposing what an open border policy really looks like. There are people that have never heard of the border problem because they just watch mainstream media, so that is what this is about, he explained. I got to ask you, I don't know. I like what this guy's doing, but do you really think that there are people that have never heard of the border problem in this country? Do you think nobody's heard of it? I feel like at this point, it is such a big story that everybody knows about what's going on at the border. Still, I like what this convoy is doing. He said, this is what we do as Americans. This is how we shed light to this subject. Robbie in Nolensville, you're next on Super Talk. You want to talk about the convoy? What's up, Robbie?
Can you start calling it a caravan? Because a lot of people think it's just for truckers, and it's a whole lot of regular people, like we're leaving out in the morning.
Well, I was just calling it what they're calling it. The guys organizing it are calling it a convoy.
Yeah, but it's not. It's for everybody. They're driving, they're flying, they're riding motorcycles down, taking cars. And it's just on the 3rd, they're having all of the meetings on the 3rd. Everybody's heading down from the 29th to the 3rd, but in Texas, Arizona, and California, the meetings are actually on the 3rd.
On the 3rd, are you going down there, Robbie?
Absolutely, heading out in the morning.
I love it, man. Well, hey, when you're down there, you should give me a call while you're out there. I'd love to get a report from you live.
Absolutely, I will do that.
Yeah, thank you, Robbie. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the call. So, Robbie's going to be down there live. Robbie in Nolensville. He's heading down there. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick says Texas has a right to defend itself from this invasion, and I completely agree.
We have a right when the federal government, we believe under the Constitution, we believe it's our right to protect our people. Pure and simple, and to protect our country. The federal government is not doing it. That was part of Article 4, Section 4. When the United States was founded by the states, we created the government. They had a deal to protect us against invasion. Now, Joe Biden wants to argue what invasion is. 8 million people who have come into this country illegally, murderers, molesters, terrorists, rapists, gang members, drug dealers, carjackers, kidnappers. That's invaded. And by the way, who is sending all of them here? Who's getting paid for it here? But armed cartels. That seems like an army to me.
Yeah, it seems like that to me as well. And the cartels, they'll get paid 2 different prices. You pay the cartels one price if you want to be apprehended by Border Patrol. You pay the cartels a much larger price if you don't want to be apprehended by Border Patrol. So who's paying the larger price? We know that murderers and terrorists and rapists and gang members are coming through. But I would imagine that the ones that pay the larger price to not be caught are some of the worst ones. John in Kentucky, you have a comment on the convoy that's heading to the border. What's up, John?
Yes, I do. Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely.
These ordinary people that are going down there, they better stop and think twice about this. Those are ordinary people on January 6th that went up to represent Trump and represent our country. You know, if they do facial recognition on all these people and 6 months later the FBI comes knocking on their door for inciting insurrection and domestic terrorism, it's going to be bad, and it could very well happen because we now have a tyrannical government.
I
jailed 1,000 people, and they're going to jail another 1,000 for January 6th.
I totally get your fear on that, man, and I would be weary of it as well. Are there going to be feds in the crowd? Will there be professional instigators in the crowd? I think that is definitely something to keep your eye on for sure.
If they're actually going to do this, they better go prepared. Be prepared to die and be well armed.
Well, I would just go and keep yourself clean as a whistle and not do anything wrong.
Well, there's about 1,000 up there in jail right now that were clean as a whistle. They were just there.
Yeah, but a lot of those people did go into the Capitol, which they got them on trespassing. I mean...
That's true. A lot of them did, but they just announced here recently that they're going to arrest another 1,000 just for trespassing, just simply because they were on the grounds.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that we're in alignment that it seems that the Department of Justice and the federal government has been weaponized against anybody that goes against anybody that doesn't toe the line. And I think we can agree on that. Now, I think that if you go down there and you're part of this convoy and you don't do anything wrong, then I would argue that you don't have anything to worry about.
Should be that way.
Well, peaceful protest is still protected by the Constitution, right? Is it not?
Well, this is supposed to still be America, but we're kind of losing it quite a bit.
No, I get where you're at, John, and I think anybody that does go down there does need to be careful and yes, does need to keep your head on a swivel and don't even, don't tolerate any agitators like that.
Well, I wish them all the luck, and the truckers are the backbone of this country. They keep us supplied with everything we need, and we don't need to lose them.
Amen to that, man. I appreciate it. I totally agree with that. Thanks for the call. Yeah, John. I mean, John brings up a good point, and a lot of people have been saying this on the online as well. Is this just a honeypot? Is the trucker convoy a honeypot? I don't know. I mean, I can understand the fear. I can understand the fear when the Department of Justice has been weaponized so often. But I think that if you're not breaking the law, if you're paying attention, keeping your head on a swivel, you'll be just fine. We still have a right to peacefully protest in this country. They haven't taken that away yet. And until they do, I say, round of the boys, trucker convoy, let's go. Me and Mac would go, but we gotta work here.
We got things to do.
I asked them if we could do the show live, and they said, So we just had Brian Wilson in Iowa. All right. Fair enough. It's 11:49 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Matt Murphy comes in here, and he's got a cake.
I'm hawking cake. Anybody want some? Who wants some cake? You want some cake? Cake?
Woo! Yeah, I'm in.
I've got cake.
What's the occasion for the cake?
It is my 500th show today.
Wow.
I can barely hear it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Are you excited?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a good one.
It's a shame that
I'm excited for every show.
It's a shame that it's such a slow news day for your 500th show.
I know. We can probably relax and do something off brand.
You can eat some cake.
Yeah, there's nothing going on, border and, World War III, all of those things.
Yeah, it's like Civil War, World War III. I made the point to Mac. It's like, let's do both.
Two things at once.
Two things at once.
I was just telling him that Travis Kelce was a jerk. I didn't use the word jerk. I think his first name is Rick. He just spells it with a silent P.
And you know what I said to him, Chris?
Threw my joke out of there.
What'd you say?
Just dismissed my joke. Who is that?
I told him.
Who is that? Is that Travis Kelce?
Yeah, that's what he says after every time we win the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Which is 4 times now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean and everybody loves a winner that acts that way.
Is excited? What? I'm so confused.
He's a bum.
Yeah, being excited that his team's going to the Super Bowl. What a bum. Yeah, he should act just not excited at all.
No, I'm happy that you're excited. You seem to be rubbing noses in it. That's what I'm
not
talking about.
He's been rubbing noses.
You just said 4 times. No, you brought up that 4 times now. I mean, nobody brought that up.
I
Nobody
was just saying that's what he says every time. You were saying that he was acting like a jerk for being excited.
And you said that's what he says every time it goes to the AFC Championship, which is 4 times now. No, that's what I'm talking
4
about.
times now, yeah. Right. In the last 5 years. So I didn't math that up.
I don't know if you heard me open the show. I opened the show with a public apology for how Mac is going to be acting.
I just, Mac can act any way he wants to. Just, I'm just saying, people will judge you based on class versus no class. That's what it's all about.
I haven't said anything this whole playoffs.
4 times now.
I know, that's the one thing. That's all it took. That's all it takes. It's crazy.
I judge him based on Bud Light.
No, Mac's mad at me because I started talking bad about Travis Kelce. I'm not mad at all. Travis started bad talking
I disagree
bad about
with you,
Kelce.
but I'm not mad.
Because Travis Kelce's throwing other players' equipment around the field when he's at somebody else's house.
Why would he do that?
Because he's defending his quarterback. Because Patrick Mahomes can't defend himself because he's the greatest NFL quarterback in history, and he can't do it on his own. So he needs Travis Kelce to come out there and do it for him.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, it's really easy to win a debate when you just set up the story yourself. Yeah, and don't get the other person. Yeah, no. Exactly.
No, you're the one that argued that he was protecting Patrick Mahomes.
Well, that was
your argument. That was not my argument.
But you didn't give any context to what happened.
He threw an opposing player's helmet.
You're not giving any context to what happened, Murphy.
Was his head still in it?
Yes.
He wishes. All I was saying is that I don't care who wins the Super Bowl. I just think Travis Kelce's a jerk.
I'm not watching.
I'll watch.
I'll play a song if the 49ers win. That's the best I can do. Matt Murphy's in next.
Hey.
Hang out with us. Find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on Air. Matt Murphy's at Matt Murphy Show. Hit the follow button. We'll follow back. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We're going to have cake!